Welcome back to 13C. Today we're talking about the Forge from Bushnell. This particular one is 4.5 to 27 power with a 50mm objective, and it has a MIL reticle in the first focal plane and matching MIL turrets. They make a couple other options, various power levels, as well as MOA reticle. They have a terrain color as well, which is a really sharp looking color, but the terrain model does not come in MIL. It is MOA only, at least as of now. I don't know if they'll expand that later on in the future or not. They may. But the terrain color does look pretty sharp. It would have been a nice matchup for the Savage 110 Tactical I have here. I think it would anyway, but I wanted the MIL application for what I'm using here, this 6.5 Creedmoor, and for me, it's personal preference. We've talked about this before, whether you want MIL or MOA. Whatever you're into, rock on. There's no wrong answer there. Just I would just caution anyone, no matter which one you're getting into, especially if you don't know what you're getting into, if you want to get with one and stick with it, that's probably the better thing to do rather than going back and forth between the two. But no matter what you're going to do, make sure that your turrets match your reticle. There are some optics companies out there that will put that will offer a MIL or MOA option, but there's only one set of turrets. Then you're having to do a conversion from whatever you're shooting in yards or meters to your MILs or MOA, and then you're having to convert again to figure out how many clicks you need. I would caution you to stick MIL to MIL, MOA to MOA. That would be the biggest thing. Whichever one you're going to choose, there's really no wrong answer there as long. Outside today for a good part of this because it's really cold and windy outside today, and I figured talking to you about specs in here, rolling in footage of us shooting, putting in some other footage, cutting back and forth is probably the better way to go here. We'll see how it winds up in post. But rather than being outside and shivering and having horrible audio quality, we might as well just bring it indoors for this here in winter. I think I mentioned earlier we've got a 30mm tube here, and I've actually got this on this particular one. The mount sitting on here is a 20 MOA mount, so I can get a little bit more elevation out of your internal adjustments. Inside here, you're going to have 14.5 mils of elevation and windage for your adjustments. On the side here, your parallax goes from 25 yards in increments out to 500 yards, and then a final parallax adjustment of infinity setting just beyond your 500 yard marker here. So a little more on the turrets. They are locking, so when the caps are pushed in, you can't turn it, pull it out, and then you can turn. I'm going to actually let you listen to these here real quick as I turn it. Should be able to hear that. And then I'm just going to turn it till it bottoms back out where I had it set for 0 stop. We're there. Push it back in. So to get this to work, and I'm going to roll in some footage here, you have to unscrew these top caps, pull yourself off, and adjust them internally. I would definitely caution you before you do that to check those out. And there's some instructions that come right in the box. This as soon as you open it up, there's instructions on here that show you how to do it. Go through this process. Make sure you don't tighten or over tighten too many things. On your brass colored ring here, these locking pins are self-retaining, so you shouldn't be able to back them all the way out. When they stop turning, easily stop. On the top cap though, you can unscrew these out all the way. Those are really tiny little set screws in here, so don't unscrew them all the way or you risk losing them. I had one fall out and I was on the floor climbing around for 15 minutes trying to find it. It's really small, so you don't need to unscrew it all the way to get it off. Reset it according to the instructions, and like I said, we'll have some footage in there of me doing that so you can see how I did it. It's trying to narrate it on camera right out of the gate here, probably not the best of ideas. On the back, it shows you your 3 different reticle types. You have a second focal plane, first focal plane MOA, and first focal plane MIL. The MIL, again, is the one that I went with. So when a new item like this comes in for T&E, one of the things we do is we make some posts on social media, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that. Not just to let you know what's coming up, but also to get your feedback on it, your questions, any comments, concerns, or if you already have some experience with the product, we want to know if there was something out of the ordinary that you encountered so that we can also look for that. If we don't encounter it normally, maybe we can try and recreate whatever situation you encountered. And we love that feedback. So one of the things that we had, and some of the stuff we can answer right away. So we had a question about why this doesn't have rain guard. If you look at Bushnell's product line, this is toward the higher end of the spectrum, And there were some people who were confused about that. Well, if you look down their stats down toward the bottom, you see that instead of having the rain guard, it is IPX7 rated, which is a waterproof rating. It's 3 foot of water for up to 30 minutes. So obviously you don't need the rain guard if you're already waterproof. The rain guard is more for rain and splashes, stuff like that. That's an easy one to answer, and we can do that there. A lot of the questions are more in depth, so we'll wait to the video or article to answer those. One of the questions that we had a couple comments was about ladder testing for scopes. So, and why haven't seen it, and the general opinion on that, and if we could include those in some upcoming videos. We're going to get into the practical way we do with some of these I don't even know if you want to call them necessarily tests, but how we go about our process, the things that we encounter and the things that we do and the things that we allow to happen. One of the reasons why we don't do ladder testing is because if you want to get precise and you want to do it right, you need a rock solid platform that this is basically bolted into, so it is not going to move no matter what. Then you need your precise distance to your target. You need the precise squares that you're going to be doing your ladder testing, and that needs to be mounted to something rock solid, so none of this is moving, and you are 100% dead sure that your optic is 100% level, that the mount it's in is, it is an involved, if you want to do it right, it is a very involved process. It basically requires laboratory precision. I'm not a laboratory. I'm just a dude who likes to shoot and talks on camera sometimes, right? So I don't want to pretend to be something that I'm not. So instead of that, I tell you what we've seen, what we've encountered, what we've dialed, things along those lines, and if there's been anything outside of the norm. So with that in mind, I want to tell you this one-off that happened, because if you've been watching some of the past several videos we've done, we've been very specific about including anything we've encountered throughout the process that was of note, be it a full through video that we run through with no cuts or breaks, or if it's just things that we roll into it, and this is going to be no different. So we had a one-off where I was out shooting it prior to this happening. I was shooting at 250 yards. Everything was fine. There was nothing of note out of the ordinary. I dialed some windage on that day. Got done. I put in the UTV like I normally do. And for those of you who know anything like this, we wind up just letting it bounce around in the UTV like it normally would. If you're out there, you're in a hurry, you're putting it up, whatever the case may be. So yeah, not necessarily get scratches on or anything like that. But if things are getting bumped and jostled, you're taking your bag to the range, you drop it, bouncing around in the trunk of your car, you slam on the brakes, whatever the case is, right? Bouncing around in the UTV through plowed cornfields is definitely a good test for that. At least as close. It is what it is, right? So I wedged it in between the seats, drove it back, took it out, locked it up for the next week. I had some match grade ammo that came in, and about a week later, and decent weather conditions, decent this time of year being about mid-30s. Took it out, shot to go shoot some groups with it. And lo and behold, it was off right at 3.5 mils windage wise to the left. What in the world, right? So anyway, you're on the very edge, far edge of the target, where we were shooting at, or off the target, but still on the target frame. So off the actual target, but still on the frame, right? Not unsafe or anything like that by any means. I mean, you've got 30 yards of berm to the left of it, no big deal. And it's still on the frame anyway. So in any event, I'm trying to figure out what the heck happened. The best that I can think of, one-off happened once, is that when I was done dialing my windage that day, the cap was out. And it wound up rubbing as it was in there, as it was bouncing along. And then before I picked it back up, either it closed on its own or maybe I closed it. I don't know. But it was locked into place when I was shooting it. I saw it was 3.5 mils off. I held 3.5 mils. Put it where I wanted it to, confirm that. Then I dialed 3.5 mils, which for this would be 35 clicks. Hit where I wanted it to. I haven't had anything happen before that. Haven't had anything happen since. So I would say that that was my error. I don't know for sure though. That's why I'm including it here. If you've had any experience with that, please let us know. And I'm going to be watching out for that, because while this video is done, the video on Savage 110 with this optic on it, we're still in the middle of it. So there is a lot more shooting to go. We're going to be shooting 450 yards here next, and we're going to be using both the reticle and dialing with that as well. So we're going to be going through those transition ranges. For windage, I've already zero reset this, so that if it does get moved or bumped, I know it was me, or I know I turned it somehow right. And of course, if the zero stays on there and the turret's locked and something happens internally, we know that. I would say at this point that's what it was, but I wanted to include it in there just in case there was something in the future. We've got that logged and checked in so that we can go back as a reference and make sure that we talked about it. I've got a target here that after I took it off and moved it from one rifle to another and put it back on this one. This is one of the targets that we went through. I grabbed this one and put it out because it has my best grouping by far with this setup. This is 5 rounds right here. I've got these 4 and just one nice jagged hole right here. And then, of course, my obligatory flyer, if you will. And I can't even really call that a flyer. I mean, it's pretty darn close. So that's one of those where you shoot it and you're like, all right, I'm done for the day. I don't want to shoot anymore. I did keep going, though. So we'll get into the weights on this. We'll talk about this more in another one. But the point is that when I put it back on and I adjusted it, dialing it in, and these are different grain bullets on here as well as we're getting this thing redialed in. I just want to show you sort of what this rifle is capable of with varying ammo, hunting ammo, open tip match ammo, 120 grain versus 140 grain for the 6.5 Creedmoor, just to give you an idea of some of the stuff that we're looking at here. And I'll put this one up here for you so you can see it a little better. Let it zoom in on that. There we go. So I've been shooting behind this rifle, as well as Gunrunner 219, who's been helping me out in some other videos that we've done, including doing some work on this one. And so our experience is kind of pooled from that, as well as shooting this guy suppressed. It's done pretty well suppressed as well. We're going to be using it out to 450 yards when we do this full Savage 110 tactical here. So look for that in the future. It's probably going to be a couple of weeks out with this. Right now, it is right between Christmas and New Year's as I'm talking to you right now. So it may wind up being a month out on this because we've got some holiday stuff coming up, and then of course middle of next month. So we shall see how that lines up. I still work a full-time day job in addition to doing this. So times, dates, and of course the weather doesn't always line up. This time of year right now outside, it is insanely windy, 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds, and it is chilly. So in that kind of winds and cold out there, your fingers go numb, and trying to do precise shooting is, in addition to not being fun, it's not fair to the whatever rifle, optic, and ammo you're using, because if my fingers are numb and I can't really feel them very well, I'm having poor trigger control. And when you're getting out 250 yards, even at 100 yards, let alone 250 yards or 450 yards, you need all of your senses to be able to get good groupings, and it's just not fair to try and go out there, have heavy gloves and everything else, my fingers to be half numb, and then put up horrible numbers. Not saying that I won't, but I'm saying that it's a caveat that I want to make sure is out there, and that people know the conditions I'm shooting at. And I also want to get some conditions in that are more ideal, like this target that I showed you guys a little while ago. That was at about 35 degrees and 0 wind, and that's about as ideal of conditions that I'm going to get for the next 2 months. So the next day that I'm not working and I'm able to get out there, and hopefully it's somewhere in that low to mid 30s where I can get out and put this thing through its paces, properly. We'll be where we're at. Anyway, thank you, everyone. This thing, a couple things, comes with these scope caps on here. It also comes with your large throw lever here, which is nice. You can unscrew this and take this off if you wanted to, if it bothers you. I actually find it's pretty nice rather than try and grab your hands on there. Just use the throw lever. It's not getting in the way. It doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't stand up higher than the turrets on either side. It doesn't get in the way of working the bolt here on our 110. So that's where we are there. It also comes with a sunshade, as well as this, and it feels and looks like neoprene scope cover, and it reminds me a lot of a scope coat. I have no idea if they contract scope coat for these, or this is their own, or anything else, but that's what it reminds me of. And of course it's got the Bushnell name right on there as well. little lens cleaning cloth bag you can clip onto something if you're so inclined. Then of course the little hex wrenches and tools that you need to adjust these. If you have your own small sizes, they will work. You don't have to use the included ones, but the one for those inner little set screws in there when you're going to readjust that is a really small hex. So you'll want to make sure if you don't have something like that, you hold on to the one that comes with this so that you can adjust those. Once you zero set it though, I would assume that you're probably not going to mess with it again. I think specifically there are warnings that you shouldn't be setting and resetting that all the time. It's one of those things where get it to where you want, make sure it's where you want it, set it, and then kind of forget it type of deal. Because as you're getting in here, you're pulling the outer turret out, then you're adjusting your inner thing. I wouldn't mess with it a lot. When you're taking these screw caps off, make sure you don't lose those little set screws in there, like I said, for the ones on this outer cap. The inner ones, I believe, are captive. I didn't unscrew them all the way, but I'm pretty sure they are. Anyway, thanks again, everyone. If you want to support us, the best way to do that is like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you aren't getting notifications, please make sure you hit that bell so you get our notifications as well. That is literally the best way to support us. We don't have a Patreon here. I still work a full-time day job as long as that's going well. I don't really anticipate that changing anytime soon. I enjoy doing this, and I also enjoy doing my day job. So eventually I wouldn't mind doing this full-time, but that's maybe going to be a retirement-type gig. If you do want to support us more than that, we have a swag shop. There's some handmade Christmas ornaments Miss 13C made. We've got 13C patches and other various swag you can pick up there if you're so inclined. 13cgunreviews.com or 13c.us. There's a link that says swag shop, and there you go. We also do some giveaways, so if you want to, we wind up giving away some swag every month as well via the newsletter. So if you're not signed up for the newsletter, please make sure to sign up for that. We send out a maximum of 1 email a week. Usually it's about 1 email every 10 days. I think for this month, we're going to send out 1 more email before the end of the month, but I think it's either the second email, not more than third for this month. And that's it. We don't spam you guys out, but it is a good way to stay in contact with us. And like I said, we're doing all of our giveaways through the email list now, because we have people who follow us on YouTube, Full30, Gunstreamer, Instagram, Facebook. They're all Twitter, and to try and do platform specific things. It's hard to please everyone. If we do email, everybody has an email address. It's easy to sign up and go from there, right? And then we random number generate, boom, it's done. So anyway, thanks everybody. We appreciate it. And that email list is new for the past couple of months. So if you subscribed to our old one like a couple years ago, you'll need to resubscribe to this one. And we'll put some links down below. You can sign up for the website. There's a little space there as well. Thanks again, everyone. Take care. Stay safe and have a happy new year.